Hey folks, I'm glad you can join me tonight on the Broken Meeple for another video review. Now, I'm not a hater of card games. I mean, I like to have a board and pieces to manipulate, that kind of thing. But I'm more than happy to have a card game that is just literally just cards. I've got Sentinels, I've got Marvel, and I also really like little filler games. The ones that you can just take around, carry them in your pocket. They can house a good number of players, but the main thing is that they're quick, simple to teach, pretty easy to play. But I also like the fillers where they can pack a punch for whatever they do. And this is another example. This is Hanabi. Designed by Antoine Bauza and published by R&R Games. This is possibly one of the most innovative, ingenious card games I've ever played. This one highlights the fact that, I mean, it's a co-op game and you are playing it with up to, I believe, 3 other players, I believe. Nope, sorry. 4 more other players, so there's 5 of you in total. And the idea is that you are basically a bunch of absent-minded firework operatives. You are trying to set up this firework display and it all has to go off in sequence, but the problem is you've got all the fuses mixed up and you don't know when things are going to launch off at any particular time. So that theme is a little bit tacked on because it is essentially just a card game. But the idea is that you are playing the cards out in order to get the fireworks going in the right sequence. Now that sounds simple enough, right? Where's the problem? Well, here's the ingenious bit. In this game, you actually don't have the cards facing you when you play it. This is a weird game where the cards are actually facing away from you as you play the game, and you have to rely on useful info passed on by your teammates to actually tell you what is in your hand, and even then you're not entirely sure what's in your hand. So for example, if I get out the cards themselves, I'll just give you an example. This basically means that you are sitting constantly during the game with your hand like this. See, you can see what's on there even if it doesn't make sense to you at this moment, but I've got no clue what's in my hand. So people have to effectively tell me, they have to pick out a card and tell me whether it's a particular colour or if it's a particular number. That's the only information they're allowed to give, and depending on how stringent you are with the rules, you're not allowed to say pretty much any more than that. You can give hints, I suppose, but you know, it depends how hard you want to make the game. Ideally, you shouldn't give out any other information apart from what colour or number they are. And in these cases, you also have to highlight all copies of that particular colour or card number, so you can't go, this is a free, when these 2 are frees as well. You have to say that all 3 of these are frees, if you get my drift. But it's really ingenious how this game works, but I'm going to go into a little bit more detail in just a second. So just a quick overview of what you get in the box. There's not a huge amount of what you get in the box, but essentially you've got lots of cards that look like this. Hopefully this will zoom in well enough. Let's get a few more just to increase the colours. So it's all these various different firework cards. You've got some wilds. You've got white, blue, red, green, and I believe there's a yellow somewhere to be found. Here we go. There's yellow. Can't forget yellow. So they all range from numbers 1 to 5, and there's a certain amount of copies of each particular type of firework. They're all linen finished. They're all fairly decent quality. You won't necessarily have to worry about card sleeves to a great extent. However, it might be recommended if you play this a lot, because obviously you don't want scuff marks on cards giving away the idea of the game. So that's probably a recommendation on that front. Other than that, you've just got these little time token things, little clocks to represent, you know, the clues that you're allowed to give. So effectively, they're almost your lifelines. And then you've got 4 of these little, a bit too far there. Basically, the 4 phases of an explosion, like almost like a fuse going off, and that's effectively your lives. You know, if you get them wrong, if you get something wrong, then you've got to take them away until eventually you've got the boom left and the game ends. So the idea of this game that you're probably grasping is that it's a co-op, but you're not trying to beat the game as such. You will finish the game regardless of whether the fireworks go off now or later. There's no like, you only got this far, therefore you lost the game. It's down to a point tally at the end. So depending on how many of these fireworks you can get out, you total up all the score of the fireworks, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you are ranked by how many points you got. There's rankings all the way from less than 5 to 25, but to be honest, 25 is the max you can get, and if you are able to get 25, then wow, because this is not an easy game. People can strategize however they want to play this, but trust me, when you're sitting there and you've got these cards facing the way and people are giving you clues, you've not only got to think about what you want to tell your friends, you've got to think about what they've told you, and you've got to remember this, you know, because you can't go say, oh, can you just remind me which one of those were the freeze again? No, you have to know by yourself what they've told you, and this means that you've got hands that are sort of, I mean, I've played the game where I've got hands like this, sort of like hanging off fingers around all over the shop, because I'm trying to think, right, they told me these two are red, so I'll hang them off this finger here, whoop, and lost one there, and this one was up high, so I'll hold that one there, and this one will be straight up, this one I'll hold horizontally and tell me that's a 4, you know, all sorts of weird ways that I've seen people try to remember the information in this game. And believe me, you've got to remember it, because there is only ever one copy of the 5s. So if a 5 gets lost for any reason, and by lost I mean that you play it when it's not the right time or you discard it, then, you know, that's going to hinder your point dramatically. But the game itself, I've been loving it. It's a great one to teach to new gamers, because anybody can pick this up. I mean, yes, the theme of fireworks and that is basically tacked on, but it's not about the theme in this case. You could almost call it abstract in that sense. It's just the crazy puzzle of working together to try and get as many points as you can, and that is addictive, because you'll get, say, 16 points in one game, maybe your first game, say, and then you'll think, right, we're going to beat that, we're going to play this again, because this is a short game. You can have this wrapped up in 15 minutes max pretty easily, even with a, well, maybe with 4 players you're probably looking at 20 to 25 maybe, you know, with slower players, but, you know, 2 to 3 players, you could wrap this up in a quarter of an hour. Easy. And this is one that I would definitely recommend to, say, couples out there, especially if you're somebody who's, you know, you've got your other half who isn't a particular gamer, whether he or she is or not, and this one's a perfect one to bring out because it's easy to teach, quick and simple. This game costs, what, like a tenner or something if you can find it in print, and it's just really good. It's, you know, they don't have to get bowled over by themes like dragons and dungeons and, you know, space and aliens and any weird stuff like that. They can just go, this is a simple card game that they can play, understand, and if anything, you know, it's a good memory teaching tool, because when you're playing this game, you've got to really remember what has been going on and what you've told everyone else when you're doing your turn, and you've only got a certain amount of clues that you're allowed to give. So once you start running out of those clue tokens, you've got to decide, play a card or discard one. And when you're doing that, you've got to make sure that you don't play one in the wrong order, because then you lose a life, and you also need to make sure you don't discard the card that you actually need for the next bit of the firework, because then it's like, oh god, back to square one. And it is great to see people's reactions when you are sitting there with a few cards in your hand and you think, right, I need to discard this round, and everybody else is you know, completely like on the edge of their seat, because they think, oh, don't pick that 5, do not pick that 5, don't pick that 5, no, and you pick something else, thank god. You see, and it really is a tense game, surprising amount of tension for something that is basically as portable and simple as this card game. I believe this won the Spiel des Jahres in the year it came out, so, you know, deservedly so, because I think this is a really ingenious game that a family can get into. Kids could easily understand this, it's not complex at all, and it just seems to work. And there's at least 4 variants in the game where you can put in the wild fireworks, so you can, or sick colour for the fireworks. You can make it stupidly hard for yourself. I mean, let's face it, the game's hard enough as it is. Do you really need to make it that much harder? You know, it's just not something that needs to be made more difficult, because it's already pretty nasty as it is. I mean, if you manage to get 25 points, the max, then please, I want to see a video of how you did that, because I'm not going to believe it otherwise. It's just hard to do that. I mean, getting above 20 is hard enough. You know, 15 plus, you should be able to manage if you've done alright, but, you know, 20 plus, whew, hard, and 25, I'm not believing you until I see video evidence of that. But in general, that it's just a really great card game. It works really well with any number of players, up to 5. It's quick, you can carry it in any bag, it's not going to take up any room. I mean, like I say, this was the box. Literally, this is it. Literally just that. you could carry this around with you anywhere. You could fit this in your pocket probably. It's that easy to take around, and I've tried this with friends lately who are completely new to board gaming, and they have just latched on it and really loved it. One word of warning though, when you're playing this game, most of us have played card games before, and we are so used to having our own hand that we can look at. So your first instinct when you pick up a card from any deck is to instantly go, problem. Because in this game you have, actually it is almost as hard as remembering what people have told you to actually remember that when you pick up the card you must put it away from you so that you don't see it. The amount of times that first players will get that wrong is laughable and hilarious in the first game, as you sort of like, where's it? Don't look at it! Don't! Stop! Lift. There you go. Nice and easy. There you go. And it's in your hand. So, a word of warning, you are going to have to get used to that, and it's not something we do naturally. So, that's pretty much it on Hanabi. It's that simple. It is a simple card game, great co-op, great for 2 to 5 people, great for families, great for kids, costs a tenner or less. It's, you know, I mean, it's not the most thematic game in the world, so if you're looking for that sort of thing, this isn't going to be for you. Think of it more like a kind of clever puzzle game. So if you like that kind of thing where you like solving a puzzle, then this game is ideal for you, particularly if you like co-ops. If you don't like co-ops, then don't go for this, and if you're not a huge fan of puzzle games, then maybe this won't be your thing either. But it's cheap, cheerful, and when it gets played, it's great. I like a good puzzle game every now and again, so it suited me just fine. So that's it for me. That's Hanabi by Antoine Bauza by R&R Games. Give it a shot if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time on the Broken Meeple. Goodbye.